Battle through the heavens, grand world. Chapter 104. He had become a king spirit. This. Lu Wu looked at Xiao Yan, then at the two men who were lying on the ground and said. Without looking at the two dead people, Xiao Yan walked to Lu Wu's side and said with a smile, "What's wrong? You have been in Black Region for so many years, but have you never seen a dead person?" Lu Wu's mouth was full of bitterness. He said with a bitter smile, "Big brother Xiao Yan. So you are so powerful. I was really sorry." Xiao Yan waved his hand and smiled. "That's nothing. I haven't recovered from my injuries and I am weaker than you. Naturally, I have to call you big brother." Lu Wu scratched his head with a silly smile. After that, for the first time, he stopped his playful laughter and said respectfully to Xiao Yan, "Big brother Xiao." When Xiao Yan heard this, he just chuckled and didn't say anything. This kind of thing was also one of the rules of Black Region. He didn't have the ability to change it, nor did he want to change it. Even the tentacles of the Linkong gang have reached here. I'm sure the Martial Strength Hall already knew about this. This time, the Tuanji gang will be targeted by the three major powers. Xiao Yan thought for a moment, then he turned to Lu Wu and said, "Apart from the Martial Strength Hall and the Linkong, what is the other one?" Lu Wu thought for a while and said uncertainly, "It's called the Profound Gang." Among the three major powers, the Black Sect is almost always neutral. They don't really get involved in the conflict between the Martial Strength Hall and the Linkong, but they are the most active in the Black Region. Every time the Black Region killed someone and stole their goods, it was most likely done by the Black Sect. Moreover, there were many mysterious experts in the Black Sect. There was once a transaction in the Martial Strength Hall that was robbed by the Black Sect. Their hall master went to the Black Sect in a fit of rage. In the end, he returned dejectedly. No one knew what had happened. Black Sect. Xiao Yan nodded secretly. If no one offended him, he would not offend them. They were just killing people and robbing their goods, not robbing them by force. In that case, it was much less harmful than the Linkong and the Martial Strength Hall. Let's go back to the sect. I think the Martial Strength Hall has also received the news. There will definitely be a big battle in these few days. Xiao Yan sneered, then he walked towards where the Tuanji gang was located. When Lu Wu heard this, a look of understanding flashed across his eyes, and he immediately followed after Xiao Yan. After returning to the courtyard, he greeted everyone and told Lu Wu not to let anyone disturb him. Xiao Yan rushed into the room and without any hesitation, he took out a jade bottle containing the key source Spirit Birth, and planned to start cultivating immediately. Since the Linkong had already found out that the Tuanji gang had obtained a large amount of monarch crystals, it was impossible for the Martial Strength Hall, who was the local tyrant of this region, not to know about it. The Linkong's tentacles had already reached over. The Martial Strength Hall would definitely receive the news. Since their chief master was an ambitious man, he would never let go of a piece of fat meat like the Tuanji gang. At that time, a battle would be inevitable. The rule of Black Region was that the winner would become the king and the loser would become the bandit. This was destined to be an unavoidable battle. Compared to the Martial Strength Hall, the current Tuanji gang could be said to be extremely weak. If they were to fight, the result would be obvious. Therefore, only those who were strong enough wouldn't be afraid. They wanted to establish their prestige. Although with his current strength and the soul power of an alien realm, he could only fight with fear. It wouldn't be a problem for him to deal with an ordinary monarch spirit warrior, but the stronger he was, the more powerful he would be. Otherwise, even if a fighting monarch could defeat an emperor, the deterrent force would still be greater. Subconsciously, people still looked down on the fighting monarch, but an emperor defeated an emperor. Invisibly, it would create a powerful deterrent force. He took out a wooden basin and endured the pain in his heart. He dripped a drop of key source soul life into the clear water and then used the same method to make a sticky green liquid. Xiao Yan looked at the green sticky liquid in front of him, and his face was full of pain. There were only 3 drops of this thing. 1 drop was enough to make 1 drop less. There were very few heavenly treasures that could strengthen one's soul. Wouldn't it be a waste to use them for advancement? Xiao Yan hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and jumped in naked. At this point, it was useless to think too much. No matter what, it was for his own use. There was no need to be so hesitant. He formed a hand seal and started cultivating. Circulating the meridians of the flame mantra, the origin monarch crystal in his dantian emitted a faint fluorescent light. The 6 origin chains that were as thick as an infant's arm in his body let out a rustling sound, affecting the crazy circulation of the origin monarch ki in his body. Hua hua hua. The green liquid in the wooden basin could feel the origin monarch ki circulating in Xiaoyan's body. As if it was being summoned, the green liquid gathered into several water pillars and jumped out of the water, rushing towards Xiaoyan's naked upper body. The moment the water pillars touched Xiaoyan's body, the water in the green liquid immediately dissipated. Only the purest ki source spirit energy entered Xiaoyan's body, turning into pure origin monarch ki. The 6 origin chains were like a giant ladder connecting the heaven and earth. They passed through Xiaoyan's body, crazily absorbing the origin monarch ki that entered his body. The sound even affected the air around Xiaoyan's body. The pure origin monarch ki poured into all of Xiaoyan's meridians. They circulated rapidly around the meridians of the flame mantra. Finally, they were injected into the origin monarch crystal in his dantian. After absorbing a large amount of origin monarch ki, a sparkling and translucent origin chains began to slowly condense. Xiaoyan wholeheartedly devoted himself to the formation of the origin chains. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, a faintly discernible sound of metal colliding was heard. A green origin chains that was exactly the same as the other 6 chains condensed within Xiaoyan's body. It shook slightly and emitted a holy-grade fluorescent light. At the same time, Xiaoyan's aura that had reached its peak suddenly changed. An even more fierce aura burst out. Under the control of Xiaoyan's soul, this aura was immediately withdrawn. The feeling of floating after he had just advanced to the 7 sovereign masters also disappeared. At this moment, Xiaoyan seemed to have felt a wave of noise in the courtyard. He also vaguely heard Du Ruoxi's voice. After a moment, the voice disappeared. Xiaoyan, who was at a critical moment, did not care. He immediately focused all his attention on his dantian. The green mucus in the wooden basin had reduced by less than a quarter. Xiaoyan did not dare to relax at all. He circulated the root of the flame mantra and continuously absorbed and transformed the pure origin monarch ki. After another incense stick of time, another metallic sound was finally emitted from within Xiaoyan's body. Another origin chains had been successfully condensed. A powerful force surged out from it and flowed to a specific location, resonating with the other 7 origin chains. That's right. I still need to restore the Xiaoyi and Xiaoao flames. Xiaoyan hurriedly controlled his absorption of the origin monarch ki when he thought of this. The circulation of the flame mantra also swiftly weakened. He controlled the origin monarch ki that had entered his body to surge into a wisp of weak flame beside the origin monarch crystal. Wah wah wah. The influx of the green liquid was almost like a frenzy. Under Xiaoyan's control, only a trace of the origin monarch ki flowed into the flame. The majority of it still flowed into the origin monarch crystal. Observing this scene, Xiaoyan pondered for a moment, and no longer deliberately controlled it. He allowed all the origin monarch ki to enter the origin monarch crystal, allowing the ki source soul to give birth. It had a great effect on the absorption of souls and origin monarch ki, and at the same time, it could only be targeted at one aspect. The green mucus in the wooden basin became lesser and lesser, and the whirlpool formed by the absorption also began to shrink. Finally, it returned to normal. Boom! A sudden air explosion suddenly rang out in the room, and the aura of a victorious sovereign master slowly emanated from Xiaoyan's body. Within his body, the 10 origin chains had formed a strange structure. The aura remained shockingly consistent, and at the same time, an even brighter and more crystalline origin chain slowly formed. 10 smaller origin chains transformed into huge origin monarch ki that poured into the origin chains. In an instant, this origin chains had an additional spirituality. The wooden basin suddenly shattered. When the flying fragments were about to hit Xiaoyan, a layer of armor formed by origin monarch ki suddenly emerged from Xiaoyan's body, easily blocking the fragments. Sovereign ki condensed, monarch spirit. Xiaoyan clenched his fists tightly. He could feel the tremendous strength in his body. At this moment, he felt as if he was breaking through the heavens and earth. When the ki in his body calmed down, Xiaoyan let out a long breath and experienced the surging origin monarch ki in his body. If he used his full strength now, he should be able to fight with an ordinary emperor. His strength had finally risen by leaps and bounds. Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.